I want to draw your attention back to the opening remarks from Air Commodore Augustine, who talked about the military's total workforce model, which is something close to our company's heart and something that I'll touch on as we progress. So, as introduced, I'm Tom Larter. My job title is Chief Executive Officer. My job description basically boils up to looking after the stewardship of our company as we grow globally. Before that, I was an operations leader, a customer leader, a salesperson. Before that, I spent 13 years as an Army infantry officer. Before that, a hospitality worker. And at the ripe old age of 11, I was a paper delivery boy on my push bike for the Sunday Mail. All of that is to say that my job description is not a great reflection of my true ability, and certainly not a great reflection of my potential for the future. Nor would I expect any of you to think that your job description is the best description of your ability. And that's something that's close to our heart. Yet the system that has been built around us is very focused on job ontologies and resumes, skill frameworks, experience, and that's starting to change. And we'd like to be a part of that change. So WithYouWithMe is an Australian startup that went global. We have a technology platform that takes a holistic view of the employee lifecycle and bridges the gap between organisational future needs, demands, and individual employee potential. And we leverage 8 years of practical research and development on leveraging actionable psychometrics and aptitude matched to skills frameworks to drive a better individual learning outcome to support the organisation. And it's helping workforces overcome job changing, digital skills crisis. It's increasing learning, graduation rates, productivity, and general performance. And the need, in fact, actually, I've heard a few times on this conference, culture eats strategy for breakfast. A Drucker quote, I think, if I remember correctly. And I'm a big fan of that. However, I think maybe sometimes it's a little misunderstood. It makes you feel like you have to have a great culture in order to achieve your strategy. Almost like you've got to do that first. But I kind of feel like you need the right culture aligned to your strategy for it to be successful. They go hand in hand. And what we're seeing is the need for directed learning rapidly increasing based on the digital change. And so if you've got a strategy that says something like, we need to be more agile, or words to that effect. But as an example, out in your workforce, if you've got managers and team leaders that aren't providing the insights, the time, and the desire for employees to learn, well, you've got a misaligned culture. And I think that's important. And so in the past, the way we did learning in organisations was relatively self-directed. We sort of provided lots of resources and learning material, but as employees, we kind of did the things that interested us, maybe the things that would provide development for our next job in the company or somewhere else, and maybe that was informed by great leaders or managers at the time. But that's changing, and it's certainly not best practice. So if you've got language in your company's strategy now that's talking about the future of work, being customer-centric, closing the skills gap, staying relevant, all these sorts of things, well, I would argue, we would suggest that you need an actionable, visible connection between the organisational goals and individual employees achieving those goals through learning. And this will help evolve from being a culture of learning, perhaps, to a culture of learning the right skill at the right time, prompted by the right insights, so everybody's heading in the same direction, which is quite aspirational. But to do all of this, we kind of need to focus more heavily on our people, your people, and take a holistic view of the employee. And we do that by combining current skill, i.e. the skills you use in your job today, your learned skills, so your accreditations and certificates that you've obtained, past skills from jobs that you've had in the past. And finally, and maybe most importantly, your potential skills. Your ability to learn skills rapidly for the future is quite important. And we would look at that by combining a mix of actionable psychometrics and cognitive aptitude matched against future skills demand, and use that to activate an employee along a particular learning outcome in a new way. And we call this employee activation. Perhaps not a new phrase, but it is the thing that will help your people be most successful and help your organization get the best out of your people. And so I encourage you to plug employee activation into ChatGPT and see what it says its description is. And it sort of shows things like this. So in summary, I'll go back to my military roots and something that the Air Commodore spoke about yesterday. We have the pleasure of working with the Australian Army and a number of other allied militaries around the world on this particular problem. The military realised that all the people that had served but had now left were a unique talent group that was untapped for them. And it wasn't as simple as just encourage them to rejoin the military, because they all left for a particular reason. Take me, for example, 13 years as an infantry officer. I have no desire to put a 50-kilogram pack on my back and go in the field for a month without a shower anymore. But in the last 8 years, I've seemingly developed enough skills to become the CEO of a global tech company. And the army, the militaries, have clued on to the fact that maybe they'd like to draw on those skills in a flexible part-time capacity as part of their broader talent strategy. If only they had a method, a platform to match their organizational future needs and demands to the individual potential of those skills in that talent pool and activate them. So enter WithYouWithMe. And it's not just the military customers that are thinking this way. We are seeing our corporate partners and customers start to take a skills-first approach to talent management, to talent development, to recruitment, and try to look at their employees in a more holistic way and connect their organizational future demands caused by the market, the economy, the change in their strategy, right back down to the individual level so they can learn the right thing at the right time, and so everyone's heading in the same direction. So if anything struck a chord with you, if you'd like to debate that topic or hear more about it, very happy to talk over lunch. I welcome you to enjoy lunch, and thank you very much for giving me 8 minutes and 10 seconds of your time.